Alright, so I would have gotten my review out for Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider out much sooner, but if you've been following the whole Gojuja news and the Super Sentai news, everything is on fire right now over there, so I've been covering that and sort of putting those videos out before this review. So this will probably come out a little bit later than usual when it comes to my Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider reviews or episode recaps and stuff like that. But this was episode 6 called Order Some Snacks, and this episode was a lot of fun. It was mostly the cast sitting around drinking. We're introduced to some new characters. Not only that, we've also got stuff getting set up with the Yakuza guy who loves and admires Shocker, so he's definitely going to get some spotlight in next week's episode, so I'm very curious to see where that's going to go. But this episode was kind of the fallout with what happened with last week's episode, and sort of like a briefer episode, but also learning a little bit more about our characters and getting some more flashbacks in the episode. So episode 6 of Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider is called Order Some Snacks. And the whole reason why it's called Order Some Snacks, because it's a quote that was repeated a lot in the episode as we were introduced to Mitsuba and Ichiyo's sister, known as Futaba. But before we're introduced to her, we have to pick up where the last week's episode left off on, where our heroes were facing off against Spider-Man, revealing their monster form. And we see how powerful this guy is. But Tojima, he says Kamen Riders don't run away, because he stands up to the Kamen Rider, because this is just like episode 13 of Kamen Rider, where they stood up to all those monsters and they came out on top. So he steps forward and he punches the Spider-Man with a Rider Punch, able to knock him back with ease. But the spider guy ends up retreating in the end and gets away. So he's still going to be out there in the end. So if we've got the Spider-Man villain, I do wonder, are we going to see other Shocker monsters out there within this sort of Rider universe? So that's one thing I'm curious to see what's going to happen as the show continues. So with everything going on, they decide to sort of retreat and they take refuge at this pub, and this pub is owned by Futaba, who is the younger sister of Mitsuba and Ichiyo, and she is a lot of fun, this character. She's very loud, very bombastic, and she hates Ichiyo with a burning passion. Mitsuba she's fine with, but Ichiyo she hates. And the whole reason why she hates Ichiyo is because when they were kids, Ichiyo, he loved V3 and he did the stupidest shit, but it's so funny. And you have this flashback where he jumps down in front of like Futaba's friends when they were kids and says, "I'm Kamen Rider V3, I'm going to protect you from Shocker." And this whole like playing pretend that he would do in front of like Futaba's friends would give her like secondhand embarrassment, and everyone thought she was a fucking weirdo. So she had like no friends in high school, no friends in elementary school, so she was kind of like outcasted because, you know, she had a really weird family because of Ichiyo and his antics that he did as a kid and probably even as an adult moving forward. So that's why she hates him so much. But you finally have Yukaritsu and Mitsuba getting married, and we kind of learn how the two sort of met together, because Yukaritsu was sort of sent to sort of spy on people who was aware of Shocker, so she tried getting close to him by dating. And I do like the flashback where she asks Mitsuba saying, "Hey, go on a date with me," and he's like, "Sure thing," because it probably won't last that long. And she's like, "I wonder why." And then it cuts to him sort of like explaining to her the whole lore of Kamen Rider V3 and why he loves Rider-Man so much and why Rider-Man is the best, and that definitely got a laugh out of me. But that was an interesting flashback to learn to see how those two met. So like I said, this whole episode is a lot of our heroes sitting around drinking and not ordering snacks, because, like I said, the whole title of the episode is Order Some Snacks, and I don't think they order some snacks in the end of this episode. But we'll see what's going to happen moving forward if they do order some snacks in next week's episode. But like I said, this episode was kind of a breather, but also learning more about our characters after they faced off against the Spider-Man. Now, The last half of the episode, or the last 5 minutes of this episode, is really interesting, where you had the Yakuza sort of like facing off against these boxers and street fighters to get the money. And one of the people we see facing off against them is Naito, the Yakuza guy who loves Shocker so much. And you have this scene where he goes toe-to-toe with these three fighters, and he just doesn't even break a sweat. Like the vibes I got from watching him fight was like, geez, this guy would probably give Kiryu a run for his money if they faced off against in Yakuza, or like a dragon. But he has like these fights where he's able to easily wipe the floor with him. Like there's this one guy where he gets a good hit on Naito, and Naito has his glasses like knocked back, and the fighter's like, oh, you should take off your glasses, it's just going to make things worse. And he throws them to him, says, you can keep them, headbutts him in the face. This other guy, this other big beefy, fat-looking guy, he's like a former sumo wrestler, so he does the stand. You have the weird angle where it's sort of like a lower angle from the back, and you can sort of see like the guy's like bulge coming out. I was like, that's a weird angle. But then it comes into effect because, Naito just kicks him square in the nuts and knocks him down easily. So Naito's able to defeat like these people to get the Yakuza their money, and Naito doesn't really seem like a bad guy. Like, he's Yakuza, but he cares about his, like, guys, his homies, because he says, let's go get some food after this, my treat, we've had a big night out. But he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He's just like Tojima from another universe, but he became not from another universe, like Tojima from another life, but he loves Shocker, where Tojima loves freaking Kamen Rider. So the people sort of offering the Yakuza the money say, hey, we've got another offer for you, we've got one more fighter, and it's revealed to be the Spider-Man guy. So it looks like the Spider-Man guy is going to face off against Naito in next week's episode, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him, judging from the preview, because, the episode is called Make Me a Part of Shocker, so we'll see where that's going to go moving forward. But overall, this was a fun episode. I still need to catch up on the dub because we have been revealed the other castmates with who's voicing who with the show. Yukarisu is voiced by Laura Favorty. I do apologize if I butchered your name. And Ichio is voiced by Chris Hackney, I believe. Now, Mitsuba, we still don't know. Like, I don't think it's been revealed who is Mitsuba. I did go back and I did, revisit episode 4 of the dub, but no idea who it is. I don't think they've even revealed it yet. Like, even listening to the voice actor, I still couldn't pinpoint who that is exactly. So if anyone knows who's voicing Mitsuba in the dub, let me know. It'd be much appreciated. But I'm definitely going to try binge watching the dub whenever I get the chance, or even when the show probably ends. But overall, Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider is still a really fun show. I'm hoping that the manga gets licensed soon eventually and gets an English release in some shape or form, because I would love to sort of read the manga and see where the story goes from here. If the anime is going to be only like a few episodes long and we don't know if we're getting a season 2. But overall, Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider episode 6, a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next. So with that said, I'll bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.